Is it finally happening? Do we actually have some Marvel news to talk about? Looks like it, because Captain Marvel 2 has just got a new director. What does this mean for Captain Marvel 2? Well, let's talk about it. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to support the channel. We're almost at 100 subscribers, and thank you so much, guys, for the support. It really means a lot to me. Alright, so let's talk about the news. So even though Captain Marvel 1 made $1 billion, it seemed like from some reports that the directors Anna Boden and Ryan Flick were not going to be returning for the sequel. Whatever the reason may be is unknown, but my suspicion is that they wanted to take the sequel in a completely different direction, and I don't think it was a knock against either one of those directors. And so, it was announced that Marvel would be hiring a director by the name of, and apologies for mispronunciation, I'm terrible with names, by the name of Nyada Costa to direct Captain Marvel 2. So, first of all, who is Nyada Costa? Well, much like, say, the Russo brothers when they entered the MCU, she's a relatively unknown small director. However, she does have a couple credits that are very intriguing to me. Before we talk about those, though, I have to really commend Marvel on their diversity with this hire. I think it's pretty clear from Marvel's past performances, as well as their future plans to implement diversity throughout the MCU, especially with Eternals and Shang-Chi, that they are committed to really bringing a diverse voice to the future of the MCU. I think that all current events aside, this was Marvel's plan from the beginning, to really bring in some new, fresh voices into the MCU. I think it's really great that Marvel is bringing in a woman of color to direct Captain Marvel 2. Kevin Feige, I think, is really committed to representation, and I think that this is a great next step forward. And she really does seem qualified, and if Kevin Feige hired her, then you know that he saw something special in her. So yeah, I just wanted to point out that I think this is a really great move by Marvel, and I think that Nyada Costa will be a great addition to the MCU. Now, what has she done in the past? Well, not a whole lot, but then again, a lot of these Marvel directors, when they come into their first MCU projects, really haven't done a lot in the past. We forget directors like Taika Waititi, James Gunn, even Joss Whedon hadn't really done a ton of projects before they entered the MCU. However, what all these people have in common is that they did have one or two really special projects that probably caught the eye of Kevin Feige at the time of their hiring. Taika Waititi, for example, was hired, I'm sure, because Kevin Feige saw Hunt for the Wilder People, as he's mentioned before, and he really wanted to hire the director of that movie. James Gunn had Slither, and Joss Whedon had Buffy. Even the Russo brothers came from a relatively small background with Community, but I'm sure that Kevin Feige saw their work and really wanted to hire them. And they turned out to be great. Now, let's talk about the project that Nyada will be directing, which is Captain Marvel 2. There's been some speculation over the past couple months that Captain Marvel 2 is going to be a quasi-Avengers movie, just like Captain America Civil War was. Captain America Civil War took on the mantle of one of the biggest crossover storylines in the entire comic book history, but still made it uniquely a Captain America film. But let's not forget that the entire Avengers were basically in that movie as well. Well, there are rumors that actually Captain Marvel would be functioning in much the same way, but this time with Secret Invasion. Now, if you look at DaCosta's filmmaking background, it's actually a really interesting choice that Marvel would pick her for the role based on her filmography. First of all, like I mentioned, like with Waititi for Hunt for the Wilder People, I think the it factor for her, the one project that they saw that they really liked, was a film called Little Woods. From all accounts, this film is great, and she did a great job directing it, and so I think Kevin Feige probably got wind of that and hired her as a result. However, an even more interesting big-profile project that she's been working on is the 2020 sort of quasi-soft reboot of Candyman, which is coming out, allegedly at least, in October 2020. Now, Candyman is being produced by Jordan Peele, and we all know that Jordan Peele has an extensive horror background, and Candyman looks to be the same. So it's really interesting to me that DaCosta's most recent endeavors was in a horror film, as she directed and co-wrote the film, because to me this might just hint at a Secret Invasion storyline. Now, while Marvel makes some really innovative choices in terms of hiring its directors, like the Russo brothers for Civil War and Winter Soldier, they do also hire directors that they want for their specific movies. What I mean by this is that they hired James Gunn because they had a specific vision in mind for the Guardians of the Galaxy, and James Gunn seemed to fit that extremely well. The same goes for Taika Waititi. They wanted to reinvent Thor, and they saw his work, and they hired him to make a comedic, fun, and enjoyable Thor movie. Now, if this pattern continues, and we look at Nyada Costa's filmography, which includes Little Woods, which is described as a thriller, as well as Candyman, which is a horror film, I think it's a really interesting move on Marvel's part. Could this indicate that Marvel wants to make a really intrigue-filled, espionage sort of movie with Captain Marvel 2, based on the director's filmography? I don't think we can put that out of the question, actually. Because, guys, if you're going to do a Secret Invasion in Phase 5, especially with Captain Marvel being out in July of 2022, well, this is a good director to have. Because again, Marvel doesn't just hire random people to direct their movies, right? There's a rhyme and reason to what Kevin Feige does, and I think Secret Invasion would lend itself to being a thriller really, really well. There's a ton of tension and a ton of intrigue in the Secret Invasion storyline with the Avengers not knowing who to trust, and I think DaCosta's hiring does indicate that they could be heading in that direction. Then again, we could be completely wrong, and Captain Marvel 2 might be a prequel set in between Captain Marvel 1 and Avengers Endgame, where she goes and deals with the Supreme Intelligence. I have no idea. This is just complete speculation on my part. Regardless, I am super excited for this announcement, and I think that DaCosta will do an excellent job with Captain Marvel 2. Comment down below with your thoughts on Marvel hiring Nyada Costa to direct Captain Marvel 2. What do you think this means for the film? Do you think a secret invasion is coming? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're at it, make sure to subscribe and give this video a like to support the channel. And if you want to check out some more content, then check out the videos on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.